What's up, worldwide family? It's Omar S. Thanks for tuning in once again. This one just came in through the wire. Per the LA Times, coronavirus forces sharp cuts to schools, healthcare in California. Newsom says. This is by John Myers, updated at 8:49 p.m. May 14th. 8:49 p.m., huh? I guess we're ahead of time here. Okay. This picture, the caption is him pointing to the rainy day fund. California Governor Gavin Newsom discusses the state's rainy day fund during a news conference in Sacramento on January 10th. On Thursday, Newsom released a revised budget plan for erasing $54.3 billion deficit. With California's economy hobbled by the impact of the long coronavirus shutdown, Governor Gavin Newsom asked lawmakers Thursday to sharply curtail spending on public schools and an array of government services while warning additional cuts could be necessary by year's end. Newsom said his budget plan intended to erase a $54.3 billion deficit through early next summer. It is designed to preserve what it can in the state's commitment to public health, public safety, and public education. Even so, the proposal leaves few programs unscathed and it lays the groundwork for even deeper cuts, which would be automatically triggered if President Trump and Congress fail to provide billions of dollars more in pandemic assistance. We're going to be dealing with challenges that we haven't faced in some time, Newsom said. The $203.3 billion government blueprint, $19 billion less spending than in the governor's January proposal, serves as a stark reminder of how much has changed in the 8 weeks since he issued a statewide stay-at-home order to slow the rapid increase in COVID-19 infections. Analysts from the California Department of Finance project a 9.7 billion drop in tax revenues for the fiscal year that ends in June, with 3 times that amount expected to be lost in the 2021 budget years. So again, dear reader, the analysts from the California Department of Finance project a 9.7 billion drop in tax revenues for the fiscal year that ends in June, and with 3 times that amount expected to be lost in the 2021 budget year. So yeah, that's about that's a lot of money, folks. 27 billion dollars. All told, 75% of the state's budget deficit is attributed to a collapse in state tax revenues. As a result, Newsom proposes canceling 6.1 billion in programs expansions and spending increases his plan would then divert 4.1 billion in available cash from special government funds and would lean heavily on cash reserves built up over the past decade. While the budget does not call for tax incentive increases, it does propose canceling programs that have lower taxes for some Californians and businesses, thus increasing revenues by 4.4 billion in the coming year. We are committed, despite the headwinds of an economic downturn, Newsom said, to balance the budget, but also to balance our principles and to advance our values. No cut may be more noticeable than that made to spending on K through 12 schools and community colleges, the largest spending category in California's general fund, and one tightly bound to the rise and fall in tax revenues. Newsom's budget proposes less school funding for the coming fiscal year than he envisioned in January. In broad strokes, a new proposal is seen as enough to maintain current academic year of services, adjusted upward slightly for inflation and changes in attendance. Still, the proposal represents a sizable setback for educators as they struggle to pay costs associated with distance learning and meals provided to students while schools are closed to slow the spread of the coronavirus. A key provision in Newsom's budget lays out a series of spending cuts totaling $14 billion that will be canceled if sufficient extra funds are provided from federal officials in Washington. On Tuesday, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, which, by the way, is Newsom's aunt, She's a Democrat out of San Francisco, proposed giving 900 billion to state and local governments as part of a new 3 trillion federal stimulus package. Newsom has praised the Democrats' plan as the right thing to do in helping emergency and healthcare workers combat the coronavirus, though it has failed to earn early support from Senate Republicans. The governor proposes using 7.8 billion from the state's budget stabilization account, the rainy day reserve fund in the near term, to soften the blow to a variety of government programs. His plan envisions using the rest of the reserves over a 3-year period. The fiscal blueprint laid out on Thursday bears little resemblance to Newsom's ambitious January offering. I'm sorry. The fiscal blueprint laid out on Thursday bears little resemblance to Newsom's ambitious January offering, with a variety of new programs scrapped in light of the historic deficit. The budget plan assumes 7.1 billion in new spending for health and human services programs, a function of those resources being available largely based on a person's income. It estimates that more Californians than ever will enroll in Medi-Cal, the state's healthcare program for low-income residents. But the plan includes proposed reductions for that system too. Newsom will ask the legislature to cancel plans for expanding Medi-Cal to all adults in the U.S. illegally, a proposal long sought by immigration advocates and Democratic lawmakers. Well, something out of this one, you know. um, I'm not against healthcare for immigrants. I'm for immigration. I'm an immigrant myself, so I'm not against healthcare for immigrants. But when people are homeless, when people, citizens of this state of California, residents of this state, the citizens of this country in this state, when they can't be housed, sheltered, I don't think we should be spending money on giving immigrants health care. I mean, come on. It's just my opinion, though. Let me know what you think in the comment section. So, dental benefits, and I'm right here, dear reader, going back there. Dental benefits and spending on hearing aids for some recipients would be cut, and efforts to provide mental health services for women who have recently given birth are expected to be scrapped. While welfare assistance grants through the CalWorks program would remain intact, spending on let me start again. I'm still kind of on the other paragraph about the things that are going to be cut. While welfare assistance grants through the CalWorks program would remain intact, spending on employment and child care services for those receiving the benefits will no longer keep pace with the influx of new recipients. Again, dear reader, while welfare assistance grants through the CalWorks programs would remain intact, spending on employment and child care services for those receiving the benefits would no longer keep pace with the influx of new recipients. Outside of traditional government services, Newsom said he wants the legislature to focus on addressing the coronavirus crisis, preparing for wildfire season, and making progress toward helping California's homeless population. His budget plans envisions a unique effort to address homelessness, the purchase by the state of hotels and motels, partially with federal funds, and then gifting those buildings to local governments as permanent supportive housing. Republican San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer has advocated for a similar idea, arguing the owners of local properties that have become vacant during the economic downturn might have an incentive to sell their facilities. Yeah, no doubt. Administration officials conceded Thursday that the absence of a key data set in the annual state budget process, total tax revenue collections, means the proposal could underestimate the severity of the coronavirus fueled downturn. Californians who normally file and pay taxes in April were given a 90-day extension until July 15th, thus leaving fiscal analysts to offer their best guess on how much there will be to spend. Legislators will also have less information on which to base their discussion of Newsom's plan. Both the state Senate and Assembly adjourned in March due to public health concerns and have not held their traditional public hearings examining dozens of state programs. They will now have to speed through a basic review of those needs in the next few weeks in order to meet their constitutional deadline of June 15th for sending a final budget to the governor's desk. Times staff writer Phil Wilson contributed to this report. Again, John Myers joined the LA Times as Sacramento bureau chief in 2015 and has spent more than 2 decades covering California politics, state government, and elections. Dear reader, let me know what you think in the comment sections below. Thank you again for tuning in. More on the way.